climate change continues to be the biggest threat to the existence of Pacific Small Island Developing States, SIDS. Due to the growing adverse impacts, exacerbated by social and economic challenges, Pacific leaders called for an integrated and multi-stakeholder approach, inclusive of the private sector, to climate change and disaster, underpinning the Framework for Resilience Development in the Pacific, FRDP, and the Pacific Resilience Partnership, PRP. In 2017, the Forum Economic Ministers called on member countries and the Forum Secretariat to support the private sector in playing an enhanced role in climate change and disaster risk financing. In turn, the Pacific Adaptation to Climate Change and Resilience Building, PACRES, has attempted to address some of the challenges faced by the private sector by strengthening strategic engagement and dialogue with the private sector to deepen regional and public sector understanding of its role and contribution at the regional and national levels, and increasing opportunities for and access by private sector to climate change and disaster resilience information and capacity, best practice, and knowledge sharing. The program was implemented in 15 Pacific countries from 2018 to 2023.
Partnership with PIBS, we started the work in 2019 under our advocacy department program. We had a focus group that was formed during that time with stakeholders from the government, from the Ministry of Finance, as well as Ministry of Environment and other NGOs, plus Chamber. That focus group was mainly formed to update and also come up with initiative that could be done in the private sector to drive, especially in the climate finance and climate change sectors. We had an LOA agreement that was formed in 2022. This agreement had the private sector engage with PIBS through a training needs assessment program in which we submitted, and then it resulted in a USP short workshops that were conducted, which our secretariat was involved, our staff was part of that, as well as the wider community of the private sector members of Chamber. Through PIBS, we were able to connect with Vanuatu Business Resilience Council, and this initiated the establishment and ongoing work to form the Solomon Islands Business Resilience Council. With these two partners in place, we were able to connect with the United Nations Connecting Business Initiative. So with this, we are currently at the final stage of launching of our establishment, and once it is launched, then we'll be starting to have more networking within the space. Here, I would like to highlight that we have actually, with our presence and with PIBS partnership and other organizations, the Chambers and Resilience Council, our presence for Chamber has become more prominent than before, and it is also seen by ministry that we are more engaged now within the sector, and the sector has influenced from the mapping that was done with PIBS, that we were able to be part of an extra 2 mappings that was done by SPRED. Partnership with PIBS or any other organization should be of balance. There needs to be a consideration in the work that is currently done within each organization and other work besides the climate change work that is being done, that there is a strict balance within in time and communication and task deliverance.
When we talk about building resilience for the private sector, the Niue Chamber of Commerce, in its own private sector development strategy plan, is one of its key priority is creating sustainable, climate resilient businesses on Niue. For us in Niue, it is finding what businesses need in order for them to be able to continue their operations to generate income, despite the many challenges brought about by the impacts of climate change that are happening now and will continue to do so into the future. The PACRES support given to Niue Chamber enabled to have 2 representatives at the Polynesia Sub-Regional Workshop on improving private sector access to climate change finance, invaluable discussions and learning, along with opportunities to connect with potential agencies who could provide potential assistance to private sector in either training for building capacity in this space and or financial assistance. One thing in the Pacific is the open sharing of this knowledge and information, and that we are all together in this battle against climate change.
The private sector, recognized as the engine of economic growth, faces challenges in fulfilling its role due to the need for improved policies and robust private-public partnerships to effectively collaborate with government bodies and organizations. KCCI is working closely with government bodies and agencies to strengthen these partnerships. PACRES within PIPS has intensified this effort, which aligns with the primary objective of the mapping of the private sector exercise. This exercise has successfully produced a report on the private sector and other contributing factors within this ecosystem. The cost of doing business in Kiribati has increased due to the imposition of license and operational fees on businesses. Acquiring necessary financing from financial institutions in Kiribati poses significant challenge. This is a key area for KCCI that requires support to enable businesses to access the finance needed for growth and expansion. We appreciate PACRES for mapping out the private sector and identifying ways to access the necessary financing. One of PACRES' initiatives was the peer-to-peer networking workshop, which gathered representatives from the region to learn from other businesses in Fiji about how they mitigate and adapt. They even attracted many other organizations interested in partnering with PACRES using this approach.
Through the 12 million European Union funding toward the program, PACRES was able to strengthen regional coordination and resilience work, assist with climate negotiations and strategic dialogue, scale up resilience capacity, increase access to climate financing, and support the development of national climate change and resilience policies, strategies, and processes.